The Family You Choose by Tunafish Chris. Chapter 3. Toph! Eventually, he finds a quiet corner to sulk in. Zuko gets to a darkened cliff, sits on the edge, and buries his face in his hands. Or tries to. There's still blood smeared on his palm. He wipes it away and ties a hasty bandage in the dark. He's just finished with that when he hears the unmistakable sound of airbending, and then Aang lands next to him. "Hey," Aang says, closing his glider and setting it aside. Zuko stares down at the infinite darkness. "I'm sorry." Aang chuckles. "You've already apologized 1,000 times." "No, that's not..." He groans and his voice cracks. "You've all saved my life and my sanity more times than I can count. I love all of you, and I've been horrible. There's not a single one of you that I haven't hurt." "We don't blame you for that." "You died, Aang!" Zuko roars. "You died, and if I hadn't been stupid enough to follow Azula, then it never would have happened." Aang sighs. He crosses his legs and twists himself so he faces the firebender instead of the cliff. "Zuko, look at me." Zuko doesn't turn around, but he does tilt his head and look at him. "If Azula hadn't burned her marks, if you'd known who we were from the start, would you have attacked us?" "No," he says without hesitating. "Even if your dad ordered you to? If he'd said it was the only way you'd regain your honor?" Zuko thinks about it. "No," he says at length. "In fact, that might have been better. I would have realized how horrible he is a lot sooner." "Then there you go," Aang says. "I'm not saying you shouldn't take responsibility for your actions. You should, and you have. But you're not the villain in this. That rests squarely on Ozai and Azula." Zuko turns back to the cliff. He can't accept that. Aang grabs his chin and balls. "You're our soulmate," he says fiercely, "and you've been there for me when I needed you most. I know it usually wasn't as dramatic as when you needed me, but it was still just as important. And now you're teaching me firebending. Without you, we wouldn't be anywhere near ready to fight the Fire Lord. And even if you weren't a part of our mission, I'd still want to be your friend." "You want to be friends with everybody," Zuko complains. "Only the good people. And you are a good person, Zuko, and a great soulmate." Zuko pulls away, letting his hair cover his face. The words are chipping away at him, and he knows he's going to cry. Yet another thing he doesn't need Aang to see. Of course, the kid lives to defy him and pulls him into a hug. Zuko crumples and is shaking as he returns it. Aang just holds him tighter and doesn't comment on the growing wet spot on his robes. Aang might brush it off, but Zuko has no idea how to deal with his other soulmates. He sleeps alone in his room per usual and extends the next morning's firebending practice so he can put off getting breakfast from the main area. But his avoidance tactics don't work when, right before her training with Aang, Toph marches up to him, waving Sokka's knife in his face. "You be Soulbot. Let's go." Zuko snatches the knife. "You'll stab someone's eye out with that." "Sparky, I throw 50-pound boulders at people for fun. Now, are we going to do this, or are you going to continue to sulk and complain about the universe?" He hesitates. He has a ton of respect for Toph. He's not an idiot. He knows she's as tough as her element. But she's also 12. And he's just as unwilling to show her his screwed up childhood as he was with Aang. But telling her not to do something is the only surefire way to get her to do it, so he switches tactics. "You sure you don't want to wait?" he asks. "You're going to be training with Aang in like 2 minutes. "Exactly," she says. "From what Aang told us, I'm going to be in the mood to beat something up as soon as we're done." He sputtered. "What did he tell you?" She rolls her eyes. "He didn't give us any of the juicy details. Just that you really downplayed the crappiness of your life. Oh, and that the Fire Lord's planning on literally destroying the world in a few weeks." Zuko grimaces. "Yeah." Toph's not done. And then Katara asked how you knew that, and then Aang explained the meeting, and she got angry and all like, Why didn't he try to stop them? And he said something like, because the last time he did that, he got his scar. So please shut up and maybe don't be such a bitch. I might be paraphrasing, but that's basically how it went. Zuko stares at her. Aang defended me against Katara. Just because he's stupidly in love with her doesn't mean he won't call her out when she's being all crabby. She makes grabby motions with a knife. No, come on, time's a wasted. He sighs, but surrenders the knife. He doesn't bother making the cut, just picks at the scab already on his hand. By the way, Toph says, pricking her palm, it's 1 for yes, 2 for no. What? She grabs his hand. When the light clears from his eyes and he sees Toph arguing with her parents, Zuko almost doubles over laughing. She looks so cute and pretty, all dolled up in a white flowing dress with her hair oiled, even some makeup on her face, though she can't be much older than 7, maybe 8. It's hilarious. His humor quickly dissolves when he realizes what they're arguing about. But I can see fine, she's yelling at 2 equally well-dressed adults, her parents. Just not like you. Enough, her father snaps. This is not up for discussion. You will stay on the grounds at all times, where it's safe. Little Toph storms off. Where she stomps her feet, the earth and ground cracks. Her parents scold her, but she ignores them. She tries to explain her sight again, this time to her earthbending master, Wu, a snooty gold lover. Zuko wants to tear off his beard. He's talking her through breathing exercises. Toph has had enough and stands up. We've been doing this for ages. Let's do some actual bending. She's apparently already started her training with the badger moles because she gets in a warrior stance and raises some very large rocks. Her master slams down his fist, and the rocks are pushed back to earth. Not of that. You're not ready. But Master Wu, no, I will decide when you can advance to the next forms. Toph pulls on her air in frustration. Zuko is right there with her. Toph runs away and ends up in a cave. She unleashes her anger in a slew of earthbending, throwing and crushing and smashing. It's chaotic, and she's only holding back enough to make sure she doesn't cause a cave-in, but it's the most out-of-control bending Zuko's ever seen her do. She finally collapses, throwing her head into her knees. Zuko hesitates. Toph's not like Aang. She doesn't like people hugging or cuddling her, but she seems so alone right now, and by now Zuko's gotten better at recognizing when he needs to observe his soulmate's past and when he needs to act. So he puts a hand on her shoulder. Toph jumps and gets in a stance. Who's there? Has she never had contact with a soulmate? Zuko tries again. Toph attacks with earthbending, but the rocks just pass right through him. He stays put. Toph is breathing hard and scrambles at where he's touching her shoulder, but obviously doesn't come in contact with anything. This only makes her panic even more. That's when he sees her marks. They're on her left shoulder blade, usually hidden by her clothes. But she'd run from home wearing only her pajamas, which drape down her back in such a way that leaves her shoulder blades exposed. Zuko finds his mark and touches it, hoping she understands. She does, finally going still. You're my soulmate? 1 for yes, 2 for no. He taps once. She giggles. Zuko almost drops his jaw because he's never heard her giggle. You feel like sunshine. He doesn't have anything to say to that, so he doesn't tap. Her amusement fades. Everyone says I shouldn't do anything. That I should just stay home and be safe. He taps her twice. Hard. No. You disagree? Yes. She smiles. Good. As soon as Toph returns home, she's grounded for running away, but she manages to get them to talk about soulmates. I met one of them today, she says. He said I have 5, right? Her mother softens. Yes, you do. And that's good to hear. Can you tell me what the marks look like so I can find them? Zuko sputters. He forgets sometimes that she's blind, so of course she can't actually see the marks. But he'd have thought that someone, especially her own parents, would have told her what they looked like. We'll tell you when you're ready to leave home, her mother says. Toph's face falls. She and Zuko both know that means never. When her mother bids her goodnight and leaves her bedroom, Zuko touches Toph's back again. She straightens. What? He puts the tip of his finger on the soul mark that represents him, the golden flame, and traces it. He does it twice before she says, A circle with squiggles? That's you? Close enough. He taps once. A hand passes through his, and he recognizes it as brothers. Sokkas? Toph stiffens at this new touch, but in seconds, she grins. That feels like a corner, or half of a square. Aang's arrow is the only one she gets completely right. The others, Katara's squiggles, and Suki's half circle, well, it's close enough. Toph, Zuko realizes, is a lot like him growing up. She's lonely, and she needs her soulmates. It's a different kind of poison from what he was fed. His father went out of his way to hurt him, tear him down, and turn him into the perfect little puppet. Toph's parents go out of their way to shield her from the world. They have good intentions, but it means that Toph has no friends. She's completely isolated and alone. So Zuko is there a lot, way more than he was with Aang. He flits through her days, only able to be there a few minutes at a time. He hopes it's enough. Toph continues her secret underground training. Zuko finds himself helping her. She's good, especially considering the fact that she's self-taught, but her stances are off. They're too loose, too casual, not solid enough. She tries to clear a cavern hall filled with loose stone, but can only make a dent. It takes some trial and error, but after a bit of prodding, Zuko manages to get her to widen her stance, lower her body, and straighten her back until it's much closer to the forms she uses as a master. She tries to clear the hall again, and this time she's successful. Are you an earthbender? She asks. No. Shame. You begun at it. High praise. Zuko almost glows. She asks Zuko a lot of questions, trying to figure out who he is. Are you a bender? Yes. Not earth, though. Water? No. Really? Fire? Yes. Aren't firebenders supposed to be evil or whatever? No! But a lot of them are bad. Yes. I guess a lot of earthbenders are bad, too. Yes. Humans suck, huh? Yes. Are your parents as bad as mine? Zuko hesitates. No. Yes. One parent is good, one parent is bad? Yes. Is your mom the bad one? No! Are you rich like me? Yes. If the war ends when I'm an adult, my parents might marry me off to you. No! Aw, now you're gonna hurt my feelings. When Toph is 10, she runs away again and wanders the city. She managed to get her hands on one of the servants' outfits, so she blends right in. Around noon, she overhears a conversation about earthbender fighting and follows it to Earth Rumble 6. It's like an Agni Kai, but with earthbending and solely for the purposes of entertainment rather than settling matters of honor or corporeal punishment for children. Toph watches the fights, looking like she's struck gold. The reigning champion is a middle-aged woman who goes by the moniker Bitch. Literally. Her opponents have to get a lot more creative with their insults. She's a solid wall of muscle and attitude. Zuko's pretty sure Toph is in love. At the end, the MC jumps into the ring with a bag of money. I have 200 gold pieces for anyone who can defeat the bitch. Crickets. Nobody is that stupid. Except Toph. She jumps right into the ring. I will. The MC stares. Bitch turns away. I don't fight kids. Never mind blind ones. Toph glares and earthbends a rock right at Bitch's head, smacking into the back of her skull. The crowd woos. The MC hastily jumps back onto his perch, and Bitch slowly turns around. You sure you want to do this? Toph smirks and gets in her stance. Bitch shrugs. All right. Toph loses. Oh, she gets the champion a rubber of money. The fight lasts almost a whole 4 minutes, which is a very long time to be attacking, defending, and dodging a single opponent. But for all of her raw skill and self-taught lessons, it's still Toph's first fight, and Bitch is a master. Toph attacks and leaves an opening for half a second. Bitch takes it, and one well-placed rock later, Toph is thrown out of the ring, crashing into the ground. She groans, leaning back against the floor. She's got a few cuts and a lot of bruises, though Bitch was very careful not to break any bones. Zuko waits a little bit, then takes Toph's arm and pulls, trying to get her up. He's pretty sure Snowflake, Katara, or maybe Suki, is cooling the bump on her forehead, but she needs to get on her feet. "Leave me alone," she groans, pulling her arm away. Zuko growls. So she lost the fight. Boo-hoo! She needs to learn to get back up and brush herself off. He's pulling on her again when Bitch drops down in front of her. "What's your name?" "Toph," she says. "Not gonna lie, Toph, you did really good." Toph blinks. "I lost!" Bitch shrugs. "Everyone loses their first fight. I lost my first 20. You know the difference between champions and losers? Champions keep getting back up." Toph stares after her as she walks away. Zuko pulls her arm again. She gets up. Toph fights in every Earth Rumble 6 after that. She always challenges the champion and loses a lot. Zuko pulls her to her feet every time. She gets laughed at, mocked, ordered to go home. She grits her teeth and shows up again and again. Finally, she starts winning. Not every match. First, it's 1 in roughly 5, then 1 in 4, 3, 2. Finally, she's asked to be a standard fighter. They ask for a name. She tells them, "Blind Bandit." The first time she loses in over a year, it's to Aang. She leaves the fight pissed, and is even more pissed when he follows her home. She starts a food fight with him at dinner and then goes to her room to change and sulk. Zuko gives her a moment, then starts pushing her to the door. By now, she knows him pretty well, so even with minimal touching, she gets it right on the first try. "You want me to talk to them?" "Yes." "Screw that! I had to punt them out of the city!" Zuko runs at Anne through his hair, trying to think. Through the white fabric of her nightgown, he can see her soul marks. It gives him an idea. He quickly locates Aang's, Sokka's, and Katara's, and touches all of them. Toph stiffens. "Do that again." He does, slowly. When she groans, he knows she understands. "Unbelievable," she says, walking out of her bedroom to call Trish. "My daughter is blind. She is blind and tiny and helpless and fragile. She cannot help you." Zuko nudges Toph away from her father toward her soulmates because he's had enough of this nonsense. So has she. She pulls free of her father's grasp and says, "Yes, I can." Watching her beat the crap out of all those earthbenders is the most fun Zuko's had in a long time. "I've let you have far too much freedom. From now on, you will be cared for and guarded, 24/7. "But Dad! "We're doing this for your own good, Toph. They're my soulmates!" she snaps. Everyone freezes. "How do you know that?" her father demands. "I have 5 of them, and one of them, Sunshine, he told me." Toph says, "I'll prove it." She pulls at her dress despite her parents' protests for her modesty to reveal the marks on her shoulder blade. "Cloudy eye!" Aang exclaims. "I can't believe we missed that!" Sokka quickly undoes his glove and steps up next to Toph so he can show her parents the match. Aang and Katara match too. Looks like the universe is sending a pretty strong message here. Toph's father grits his teeth. "Absolutely not. I refuse to let my daughter get involved with your insane quests. Escort the Avatar out. He's no longer welcome in our home." Sokka is pushed back. The trio leaves with little resistance. "Sorry, Toph," Aang calls. "I'm sorry too. Goodbye, Aang." Toph knocks out the car and runs away. Zuko's only surprised she didn't do it sooner. Of course, they get into a huge argument, and she leaves the group almost immediately after joining it. Despite Zuko trying to stop her, she walks right through him, only to run into Iroh. Zuko stiffens watching his uncle make her tea and talk. His head is spinning. He had no idea these two knew each other. It hurts seeing his uncle like this. Back when he risked so much to try to help Zuko, not knowing where he would end up. He's glad when Toph leaves. Toph can't see in the desert, so when the library starts sinking and the sandbenders come for Appa, there's very little she can do. Zuko tries to help anyway, tries to help her figure out which direction the thieves are coming from, But it's no good. Even if that worked, she still has to hold up the library, still has to decide between her soulmates and her friend. I'm sorry, Appa, she says, her voice breaking. Serpent's pass. The drill. I can't bend in here, Zuko snorts. Not yet. Getting Appa back, breaking into the palace, getting the letter, getting kidnapped. Quit your banging, Chitsu yells, slamming his fist against the cage. You may think you're the greatest earthbender in the world, but even you can't bend metal. Toph rests a hand against the metal. Zuko nudges her forward. She takes a deep breath and resumes pounding on the metal walls. Finally, she either hits hard enough or concentrates hard enough that she finds the tiny specks of earth that have been reforged over and over and over. She smirks. When the team regroups with the Water Tribe warriors, get Aang settled, and plan their next move, Zuko gets to see Hakoda for the first time. The man very obviously cares about his kids, and goes a little pasty when he sees Aang's injuries. He and Sokka put their heads together and make a plan to steal one Fire Navy ship in order to blend in. While everyone's eating on the dock of said ship, dressed in Fire Nation reds, Hakoda turns to Toph. I'm sorry, I don't believe I caught your name. Oh yeah! Sokka gasps. So, Dad, this is Toph. Toph, there's one tiny little detail Katara and I forgot to mention about our tribe. You mean besides the fact that your favorite snack tastes like metal? She asks, chomping into some seal jerky. Hakoda doesn't take insult to this, just jiggles. It's an acquired taste. Just dip it in the soup, Katara suggests. It's about soulmates, Sokka says. And now Hakoda's looking at Toph with a lot more interest. So, in the Water Tribe, soulmates are basically considered your brothers and sisters unless you're dating them, obviously. But in any case, the parents of one soulmate pretty much adopt all the others. So, congrats! You're part Water Tribe. Toph makes a face. I'm not calling anyone Dad. Hakoda smiles. I don't expect that to happen right off the bat, or ever, if you're not comfortable with it. Well, my actual dad tried to protect me because he thought I was helpless and never let me go outside. He makes a face. Toph, this morning I saw you metal bend several Fire Nation soldiers' armor and then chuck them into the sea. If anyone here is dumb enough to call you helpless, they deserve the same treatment. Toph laughs. And that's settled. After that, the only time Toph arguably needs Zuko's help is when she's an emotional mess and does all those scams, becoming the runaway. But Sokka's already on it. But then, the night before the eclipse, when everyone else is asleep, she turns over. Suki? Sunshine? You there? Yes. He feels guard brush against his fingers. I'm not gonna lie. I'm a little scared for tomorrow. You think you can be there with me? Yes. He goes through the eclipse again. His hand never leaves Toph's shoulder. Zuko wishes that destiny let him warn Toph ahead of time not to sneak up on past him in the middle of the night, but after the eclipse, that's it. He blinks, and he's back in the present holding Toph's hand. She lets go first, then punches him in the arm. What was that for? He snaps. It's how I show affection, she says. This can't be news to you. You literally named me after that. She hands him the knife and walks away. Give that back to Sokka, would you? I'm going to make a statue of Fire Lord Asshole and throw rocks at it with Aang. Zuko snorts, but does as he's been asked.